Hello friend, how are you doing today? My name is Mary and this is Happily Ever Esch. Welcome back. I am so glad that you are here today. We are talking about a very exciting topic, which is the best books of 2019, the honorable mentions, or the superlatives, if you will. These are the books that I really enjoyed, I felt like had a big impact on me. Maybe I enjoyed them for one specific reason or another, or I feel like they're a perfect book for a perfect kind of situation. So ones that I didn't think would be like all-time favorites, or ones that, I would want to go back to. I mean, maybe I would want to go back to some of these, but they're not the ones that are like all-time favorites, gonna like potentially make a top 10 list or anything, but they are books that I would highly recommend, that I would pass out to people. I just wanted to just basically have an excuse to chat about more books that I loved this year, hence this video. Let's just get on started. Oh, happy almost 2020. This may be 2020 when you see this, so happy new year. I hope you guys have a wonderful one. Okay, now let's get started. So the first book I would like to talk about is one of the first books that I read after I had my baby Judah, and that is Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant by Anne Tyler. And I picked this up on a total whim. Anne Tyler was an author that I had really wanted to read. I may have picked this up because my mom brought me my grandma's old e-reader because I thought while I was nursing it would be easier to use an e-reader to read rather than trying to hold and maneuver a physical book, and I was spending way too much time on my phone. I was like, if I could be scrolling through my phone, I could be reading a book. So they might have just like had this at the library, I'm not sure, but I'm really glad that I picked it up. So I did give this 5 stars at the time, and I do think that it is a really good book. I really enjoy the way that Anne Tyler portrays families. I like the way that she delves into them, but I really think this was a case of the right book at the right time for me. This book opens up and is focusing kind of on the deathbed of a mother, and the mother is just kind of reflecting on her life and her children, and the children are reflecting on their relationship with the mother. It deals with some tough family things, but kind of in Anne Tyler's quirky way. Like, she deals with such heavy topics, but kind of as a way of like making them feel both light and heavy at the same time. But I think it was just me nursing my baby, being thrown into this new motherhood thing, reading about a mother at the end of her life and her experiences with motherhood, her children's experiences and relationships with their mother. That was just so perfect. I definitely want to read more Anne Tyler. I know she's not for everyone because she does kind of have a quirky style, and her books kind of like not a lot happens. They're very quiet. But yes, I really enjoyed her, and I then after reading this book, went to the library book sale and like picked up like 5 more Anne Tyler. So I'm set, but she's very prolific. But yes, right book at the right time is the honorable mention for this. And also potential new favorite author. So, and I really like this cover with the spoon and the fork, and cute. Next book on my list is for the spot of books that reminded me that I love the short story form, and that was Alone with You, stories by Marissa Silver. I really enjoyed this short little book. I was having trouble concentrating and reading things, and I was like, I'm gonna pick up a short story collection. I actually am going to be featuring another like kind of challenge that I'm going to be doing in 2020 in another video, and I'll talk about this one again. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about why I enjoyed this book. This was a perfect set of short stories for me. I really like realist short stories. I don't really want them to be too weird. My definition of weird. I don't want them to like, I'm not really into magical realism in my short stories. Maybe a tinge, but not like heavy. I think short form, a lot of people like, you can do a lot of weird and cool and different things because you're only doing it for such a short period of time, but it just doesn't work for me. So I love short story collections, but I have a hard time finding ones that I really connect with and enjoy, and this was one that I did. It wasn't the best short story collection that I read, but again, it's one that the longer I sat with, the more I realized I appreciated and enjoyed the way that Marissa Silver portrays people and relationships. Again, I think you would kind of need to be the right reader for this book, but I loved going to my shelves, picking up a book, something that I had on for a couple years, and just really connecting with it, and really kind of like sparked my interest in short story collections again. So very grateful for this one to have been read in 2019. So I think that does it for the physical books that I own on my TBR. These next couple were either audiobooks and all library books, so I either listened to them or read them physically. Did something a little new this year in 2019. I wrote down physically all of the books that I read, and I really enjoyed the process of just like keeping a physical log. I had tried to do a book journal multiple times, and this is about as committed as I've been and stuck to, but just took a physical log. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I really enjoyed the process of doing that. And I started in 2015. That's when I really started tracking my reading, was in 2015. And so now I have a physical record of every book that I've read from 2015 until this point in 2019. And I would love to fill that up. And I think there's just something special about having something that I physically have written every time I've read a book that I'm really excited and hopefully can do. I did it all of this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I've made the habit and can continue on. But anyway, the next book that I would like to talk about is the book that reminded me how good YA can be, and that was The Poet X by Elizabeth, I can't even read my own writing though, Acevedo. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I will put a picture or a video or something here so you can see the beautiful cover and her name. But this I listened to on audio. It's written in verse. The author narrates this, which authors narrating their books can be hit or miss for me, but she rocked it. It was amazing. I would listen to anything that she narrates again. But this one just looked at one girl's life, a girl who was just having, hard times with her family, hard times like finding like what relationships with people mean for her, and coming into her own, coming into being a writer, and just dealing with all the things that I think young women do, but also very specific to this young woman. Having parents who were immigrants and living in a big city. Like, obviously this is very specific to her experience, but I think there's also kind of a broader of like women growing up and kind of your body changing and how people are viewing you as changing. So there's kind of a universal theme to it, but also a very personal theme, which I really, really enjoyed. And this was 5 stars, so good. I want to read her other book, which is like Something About Fire, another beautiful cover. I will put it here. But yes, I loved it, and it was like, yes, YA can be so good, and this was the book that reminded me of that this year. The next book I would like to talk about is Good Talk by Mira Jacobs, and this was a graphic memoir, and this book takes the cake for showing me how good a graphic novel can be. Graphic novels are really hit or miss for me. There's been ones that I've enjoyed but not really stuck with me, and this one, let me tell you, I think will stick with me for a very, very long time. This is Mira Jacobs' memoir. It's looking at the time that Donald Trump was running for president and then was elected president of the United States, and what that meant for her community of friends in New York, I believe is where she was living, but also what it meant for her son and kind of her view as a parent to be going through this. Mira Jacobs is an Indian American. Her parents were immigrants, and so it's looking at her experience going through this time. Also, like, I would say, kind of zooming out and looking at her full life and her learning and coming to terms with what it means to be an Indian American, what it means to be a minority and a person of color, but also what it means to like tackle her own bias. It was just really honest and really good, and I would highly recommend checking this out. I will say that there is some nudity in the book. They're drawn pictures, so if that makes you uncomfortable, I would at least be aware of that. There's some sexual content, but I didn't find it to be heavy-handed, and I didn't find that it detracted anything from the book. It just, the whole thing felt very honest and full of candor, and I really, really liked it, and especially the parts where she's grappling with talking to her son about these things that she as an adult is like struggling to deal with and reconcile. It was really good. I highly suggest that one. A beautiful book. I love the cover. Again, I've put a picture hopefully so you can see it up here, but yes, it definitely was a book that was like, graphic novels can be amazing, and here is one, and so I appreciated that read in 2019. the last book that I would like to talk about today in my honorable mention best books of 2019 is Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson. And I would say that this was kind of a perfect summer read. So that's the little category it gets today, perfect summer read. This is a thriller written by Jocelyn Jackson, who has written lots of other books, but not typically in the mystery domestic thriller genre, but man, does she write a good book. There is just enough suspense and intrigue to keep you going, but I didn't feel like she was trying to have a huge cliffhanger at the end of every chapter, but there was a driving plot, and it was a page turner. Jocelyn Jackson has really beautiful writing. I think she writes domestic life really well. There was also a scuba diving aspect in this book, and I've never read about scuba diving, but it sure did make me want to go scuba diving. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But yeah, I think this is a perfect August like transition book, and I definitely think that you should put it on your list for 2020. It would be a wonderful summer read, and I am definitely going to be picking up more of Jocelyn Jackson's work in the future. Hi, so this is Editing Mary, wanting to tell you that I didn't like give you any plot points for the Jocelyn Jackson book. So the start of the book, a woman comes, knocks on the door of the neighborhood book club and is like, hey, I want to come join your book club. No one knows who she is, kind of small neighborhood, like intrigue, who is this woman? And she totally upends book club, wants to play this game, very similar to Never Have I Ever, and basically spill everyone's secrets. So how does she know everyone's in the neighborhood secrets? What is going on, and what is the secret that everyone's trying to hide? And then the plot kind of goes from there. Yes, if I didn't tell you on this, you should listen to Anne Bogle talk about it. That's how I found out about it in her podcast. I'll try to link the episode down below where she gives a good little plug for it. But it was just the perfect, like, I don't like super gory thrillers. I need just enough intrigue, but also just enough like of my own, like if this happened to me in my own life, like that would be terrifying. And it did all the things. So I hope that that helps you decide if you want to read that book or not. All right, back to non-editing Mary. Okay, that's it. Those are all of my honorable mentions. I would love to know if you have any bookish superlatives, that's hard to say, bookish superlatives that you would like to share with me, or any honorable mentions. Please chat about all of those things down in the comments below. And I think that is it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.